What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to take a little bit of a step back from episode 1 of our Minecraft series and take a look at some beginner tips and tricks, principally not to get lost, because that's usually a pretty tough thing in the beginning when you haven't shaped the world, but then also some things to build in the very beginning to set yourself up long-term in a hardcore Let's Play survival series. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Again, if you enjoy the content, definitely subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the little bell so you get notified every time a new video drops on the channel. All right, so here we are back in our very small starter house. You can see it's daytime out, but then just kind of taking a step back to look at what we built on day 1. So you can see just a very basic, I think we did 6x6, just someplace safely to put a bed, a crafting table, a furnace, and we can call this entire area home base here. So what we're going to do today is go over, whoop, goodness, get hit up by burning zombies. Pro tip, or beginner tip, make sure to always check behind you when you first spawn into a game. You never know what time of day it is. I assumed it was daytime, but the sun had just risen apparently, so there's still zombies out here. But we're going to cover some very basic beginner tips and tricks, and then just add a little bit to the world we have here and kind of shape it out. So we have shelter. Shelter's done. When we went exploring for the 2 different types of wood, remember we went kind of way off in the distance there to find the corner pieces for the home. And part of the reason that I built the home where I did, or the little starter house, was because it's situated on a little mini hill. So you can kind of see as you kind of scope out. I mean, obviously there's some mountains there which are a bit taller, but even our little starter house doesn't quite clear the tree line, which, if we don't run too far, not a big deal. But if we were to disappear and kind of run into that forest looking for, I don't know, some cows, some sheep, something very specific that we're on the hunt for, we could very easily get lost. So what we want to do, and a good beginner tip, I guess we could call this beginner tip 1, is make sure that you build the starter house high enough that you can see it from a distance. So this is not quite high enough. So what we're going to do today is take this up a level, maybe even 2 levels, just so that we can see what's going on here. The other thing to do, especially in a house this small, is to put windows in so that you can see outside. Now, you don't want to leave the windows open like this. You could have skeleton archers shoot through the windows. So we'll fill these in with glass in time. But for now, just so that I can kind of get an idea of what's going on outside, hey little piggy, we're going to do that. So inside of the crafting table, remember this is where you can find the recipes for different items that you might want to build. You can find a ladder. Pig's just going to come through the window. Cool. The ladder comes in a pack of 3. So what we'll do is we'll just build a ladder here. And now we're up a floor. It's pretty easy. So then we're just going to follow the same setup that we did before, except we're going to go up 1 floor from our base. So we'll do that. We'll need to go get more of the oak logs so that we can fill it in completely as well. That way we can kind of keep the same look to it. We'll put 1 here, 1 here. We'll do the windows on the 2nd floor as well. And then we'll save connecting that until I get more of the oak logs. So now, if I'm up here, you can get a better landscape, right? You can kind of see a little bit more of what's going on. We have a lot of wildlife here, which will be good if we can get some fence and then kind of trap them in. But now when you're running around outside, you'll have a much better chance of seeing it from a distance once we complete out that 2nd story. All right. So for now, we're going to start there. We need to run off, I believe over there was where the trees were before. We only have the 1 axe, so we might want to take another axe with us. We'll do a stone one this time. Let's go check this out. So beginner tip number 2, when it comes to getting lost, is try to run in a straight line. So if you don't have a compass, if you don't have a bearing or anything like that, to where you know the landscape well, like, oh, the mountain's on the right side, or there's this big lake on the left. If you run in the same direction, it's easier to find your way home as long as you don't go spinning in circles, right? So as you can see here, the terrain changes. I could very easily get lost down here, but I'm staying in the same general direction. So when it's time to go back, it won't be as painful. I won't have to run in circles or, hope for the best. I'll have it all kind of figured out. So we're going to grab some of these oak logs. That way we can build out the corner pieces of the starter house. We'll probably go up 2 more floors. That way it's just very easy to see. Having it up that high as well will help find dark spots in your base camp. So once we put up a fence and kind of start building some pens for the cows, the sheep, the chickens, the pigs, once we have a tall building, we can see where there's dark spots inside, because we don't want the dark spot. Dark spot equals a mob spawn potentially. So if we're going to build a fence and kind of enclose where we're living, or like our safety area, we want to make sure that things can't spawn inside of it. So eliminating the darkness using lanterns, torches, that's the game plan, and having a tall build will assist with that. Again, this is just a starter house, right? Like if you want to build a mansion or something fancy, this is not the way to go. This is very, very basic. We're not building a bunch of different rooms. Realistically, at the end, this will just become a 2 to 3 story tall building, same dimensions, we already have it. The ground floor will stay the same, and the second floor will be like storage chests, so that we can keep things a bit more organized. And that'll be about it, and then we'll kind of keep moving on from there. Another thing that you can do when building, if you're nervous, you just keep finding yourself getting lost. So say now I'm going to turn around and go back in the same direction. So this isn't the same path I took, but I remember the directions and look, pointing straight at the starter house. Just make sure I don't fall off a cliff here. Another thing you can do, and we'll do it here just for illustrating purposes, is to build mini structures a certain distance in each direction. So essentially think of it as expanding your camp, right? So we're going to have this tall tower here in the middle. This is where everything's going to be, surrounded. We'll have our animals. We'll have everything over in this direction. But let's say you wanted to run in that direction, over the water, over that mountain. Take a little watch, time yourself for 30 seconds, 40 seconds of running in that direction, and then build something similar over there. Maybe it's just a 2x2 tower. It's something very small, but build a structure in each direction, kind of like four arrows, and then you'll have an idea of where you are. So if you get too lost in one direction, you're not searching for one thing, you're searching for multiple things. And that's obviously very helpful when you're going and you, again, just happen to get lost somehow. It won't be you spending days trying to figure out where your base camp is. You'll be able to get back a little quicker. So we're just going to finish off the top here. And then we'll have a second floor. I may run out of planks here. Just going to run out, aren't I? Yep. But I have slabs. So, and then you do the same thing as we did before. And that's all we got. So I got to find more birch. So I'll go out, grab that birch as the sun's starting to set. And then that'll be it really for, this day-night cycle. So other tips, again, if you're deeper into the game, you can make a compass. That would certainly help. Another thing you can do is to follow the coordinates. So if you're more of a numbers person, I'm a numbers guy, you can write down the coordinates of your home base, like on a sheet of paper or something like that. And if you go off running, it doesn't really matter where you end up. As long as you understand how to make the numbers match up, you'll never be completely lost. I'll show an example of that in a second. There should be plenty of wood. So the way to do it on PC is you hit the F3 key, and it brings up these coordinates here. Kind of middle to the left of the screen, you have an X, Y, and Z. And you can see as I'm running around, it's going closer to 0 on the X value. So minus 240. And now you see if I go back this direction, it's approaching negative 250. The second one, the Y value, is your height relative to the bottom of the map. So right now I'm 72 blocks up. If I drop down one, now it's 71. If I drop again, 70. So the X and the Y are two very different things. Y is up and down. You can see it changes when I jump. X is me moving in this direction. And then Z is the same thing. So if you're, well, it's not the same thing as X, but as you're moving laterally in the world, those two values change. So if I'm standing in the middle of my base here, you can see I'm negative 250, 72, and negative 113. If I write that down and I'm somewhere over here, for example, and I'm like, oh no, I'm lost, I don't know how to get back. As long as you have those values written down, you just keep running and working your way towards what you wrote down, and you'll eventually come upon your base, as long as you wrote the numbers down in the correct order. Having them in the wrong order would not be good. So that's another way to do it. The coordinate approach is very predictable, very easy to do. You just need to write it down accurately when you first do it. Okay, let's see here. I was about to say, did I not do birch? But here we go. So we're just going to finish that there. And then we're going to go make some birch planks. And then we will finish this off so that we have a completed second floor. I think 30 might be enough. And the ladder's right there, so we'll keep that one open. Oh yeah, definitely enough. So now we have a second floor. So now when you look out, you can see, mobs around you. You can see when the sun's going up or down. So here we're just now entering nightfall, and we're in a much more stable place, right? So when it comes time, we'll build one more floor on top of this here, but we're in a very safe spot to where we're not going to have to worry too much about, things creeping up on us, right? We can see everything going on. But just to round out today's episode and kind of bring it that step back, we're talking about at the beginning of the video, the crafting table right here, it's the one with the little axe and what looks like a little mallet or a hammer on the side. When you start out a game, the crafting table is huge because a crafting table is where you make most of the items in the game. It's where you craft them, right? Crafting table, craft them, makes sense. If you look at just your inventory, remember you have a small set of things that you can make, but this is not even close to what you can make in the game. So you can see here, we have 5, 10, 13 items to craft, and kind of random items. But if I go on the crafting table, we have 3 pages of items. So one of the first things you want to do when you start out is build a temporary shelter, kind of like what we have here, and then drop down these, I'd say 4 things are pretty good essentials to start a Minecraft world. The crafting table to build more things. The furnace is what you use to cook. So you would have some kind of heating element, coal or wood, and then you can put the meat in. So like we put the raw mutton, and the coal will cook the food for you. You can eat raw beef. You can't eat raw chicken, right? Just like in real life. But raw beef doesn't give you the health back that a cooked piece would. So you want to cook it. And then also you want to have a chest. So the storage chest allows you to put things that you don't necessarily need in your inventory at that point in time. So by having that in your inventory, it gets messy, right? It's disorganized. Yeah, see, so now the skeleton archer can hit me through the window, kind of as I said before. So we're just going to fill that in for tonight until we can make some glass. So crafting table, furnace, storage chest, and then a bed allows you to go to sleep at night, so you don't have to deal with what I just dealt with. You can just go to sleep when it's dangerous, wake back up, allow the zombies to despawn, the creatures to despawn, the mobs, and then you can get back to building. So as long as there aren't any zombies nearby or creatures nearby, you can go to sleep. So right now, as you can see, I've finished cooking the meat. Take the coal back out. In order to build these things, if you wanted a very quick look through in the recipe book, the crafting table is just 4 of the planks. It doesn't matter what type of wood. If you're going to situate the recipe yourself, it would just fill the block. If you wanted to do a storage chest, it's an O pattern or a 0 pattern. So you would need 8 planks in order to do that. And then in order to do the furnace, it's the same pattern, but with cobblestone. So crafting table, etc. All right, so that's going to be it for today's episode. We're going to keep it a lot shorter. So again, went over today tips in order to not get lost in your first world, right? We built the second floor on top of the house, went over some basic things to focus on in the beginning, which is the bed, storage chest, crafting table, and furnace. And then we got attacked through a window by a skeleton archer. So when we come back next time, we're going to continue to build up the building. We're going to explore and lock down some food. So we're going to do a wheat farm. We'll do an animal farm in upcoming episodes. That way we always have food nearby. Right now I'm good. I have 10 different, pieces of meat here. That'll keep me going for a while. But if you get into a battle or something like that and lose health, you're going to want quick access to food as well. So thank you guys again for checking in on the video. Please keep up the support on the channel. Thrilled that we're already past 20 subscribers. I know that might seem like a small number to those of you that are engaged with the YouTube community or you're a YouTuber yourself, but to me, that's a lot. And I appreciate all of you that come in and check out these videos. If you're not a subscriber, we are getting more views than subscribers these days. Hit that little button. That way you know when the next video comes out. And as long as you're enjoying the content, we'd love to have you here.